Back in Sacramento, the women's 3000-meter steeplechase is next. This event is not an Olympic event. This will decide the U.S. championship. And it includes Brianna Shook from the University of Toledo, the 2003 U.S. steeplechase champion, second this year in the NCAA championships.
She is the future of the steeplechase in this country right now. But the good thing about the steeplechase at a meet like this is that the women don't get to run this race often, and they'll probably almost all run their best time now that they all got together in this big meet situation.
Steeplechase, approximately 7.5 laps. And here is the start list for the women's 3000-meter steeplechase final. While you see those competitors, we should remind you, too, that Grant Robinson, whom we talked about in the 1500-meter competition, did advance to the semifinals on time, though he finished back in the pack in his heat. Underway in the women's 3000-meter steeplechase final.
A little over 7.5 laps, and the women's hurdles are 30 inches high. The men's hurdles are 36 inches, but of course neither of them move when you hit them. They're not like the high hurdles.
Ouch.
And the tough thing for the women is that the water jump is the same water jump that the men go over. So it's very tough. With the men, when they come through that water jump, they might get 1 foot wet. But for the women, they can't jump out of the water.
And Shook takes an early lead, a big early lead here. Brianna Shook, whom we talked about earlier, from Toledo, has the lead as they go through that first lap of the 7.5. And everyone knows when Brianna Shook runs, she will go to the front. She talked about her strategy.
Everybody knows my race because it's so different than most people's, but I usually just, I go out a little harder and maybe than most people would for 7.5 laps, because a lot of people would start out conservative and I have never been like that. So, I just go out like I would in any race, and that's just how I'm more confident running how I want to run. I don't ever try to run somebody else's race.
And she must be confident because look at the huge advantage she has. But she missed the water jump. She failed. Failed to go through the water jump. She went right by it.
Was she inside the track and just went around it?
No, I don't think she left the track.
So an official maybe was supposed to be there and point her into the cut-in.
Here's a replay.
Let's look at it again. Well, a few of the other runners started to not take the turn either. Now, in the steeplechase, sometimes the water jump is on the outside of the track. It can be in different places, and you can get confused. But, of course, they knew where it was going to be this time.
I was waiting.
So what will the penalty be?
And ladies and gentlemen,
out? Disqualified?
Yeah. Attendance 20,758.
Unless they can say that there's a little curb there. Maybe the curb hadn't been removed and she was thrown by that. I don't know. But, we'll have to wait and see what the ruling is. She's really got a nice lead, and that's a good thing to do in the steeplechase. See how deep in the water the women have to land. And Brianna said she always grew up, running with socks on, but after a few steeplechases, she realized she had to learn to run without socks.
Well, Shook leads, but we think she might face disqualification for missing the water jump the first time. Ann Gaffigan is second. Elizabeth Jackson is in third. Lisa Galaviz is fourth. And Messner is fifth. Shook has a big lead, but what is her fate? Is it to be disqualified? So while we watch the women's 3000-meter steeplechase continue with a big question mark on it, let's go down to Bob Newmeyer, who has a legend by his side.
Well, if Jeremy Warner and Darrell Williamson represent the new 400 at Baylor University, I don't know if Michael Johnson represents the old, because you still look like you're in good enough shape to go out and compete right now.
Yeah, but don't be mistaken. I still do represent the old.
And you came to see your guys run, and what did you think?
Oh, they look great. I'm very proud of both of those guys. Obviously, Jeremy winning it, that was his dream, and that's what he wanted since NCAA championships were over, and that's what he was targeting. I feel really bad for Daryl. I mean, he's happy and he's sad at the same time. He's happy that he's on the Olympic team, obviously, for the relay, but to miss out on the third spot by a hundredth of a second, that's pretty tough.
You talked to him after the race. Was he lamenting the fact that he came so close? Because you told me earlier that this was kind of a surprise that he was even in position to win this thing today.
Well, I think that, early on, he felt he came in here saying, hey, I want to be on the relay. I want to be on the relay. And we said, Daryl, you got to think bigger than that. You can run well. And today was the first day that he said, I can win this. Of course, Jeremy said, no, you can get second or third behind me. But he did. Maybe it was a little too late. And he came in and he said, I can win this. And I thought he executed the race as best he could. But obviously the guys were ready for him, and so he finished fourth. But he is going to the Olympics, and that's great for him.
Do you tutor these guys? Do you get technical with these guys? Are you just inspirational for these guys? What is your role with these two great athletes from Baylor?
I'd say more just consulting with Coach. Coach Hart. Coach is, he's there for those guys. He's there with them every day. And all I can do is come in when he asks me to and reinforce what he's told these guys. And a lot of times Coach will say, they won't believe it from me, but they'll believe it from you. And I'll just come in and say, well, I learned it from him. So, but anyway, those guys, they're both smart kids, and they're very coachable. And so he doesn't have a very difficult time with them.
All right, I would be remiss without asking you about the Balco controversy. Track and field is a sport you love, and yet you cannot pick up a newspaper in the United States of America without the word Balco being involved. What are your thoughts about the whole thing, Michael?
Well, I think that it's unfortunate, number one, that people don't understand, that the public doesn't understand that in this sport there's a zero tolerance policy. When you have that, then people are going to be banned. And when people are banned, that makes news. We ban people because there's a zero tolerance policy. It's unfortunate, but I think that in the end, it's going to be for the greater good of the sport. And we may have to suffer a little bit of public relations negativity right now, but I think ultimately in the end, it'll help to clean up the sport, and that's what everybody wants.
And will you be in Athens to root on Jeremy in the 400?
I will. I'll be there to root on Jeremy, and I think that at this point, I don't see anyone out there that can beat him, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he'll remain consistent. So I think he'll go in there and do a great job.
Michael, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Bob, as the women's 3000-meter steeplechase continues, Brianna Shook, the University of Toledo, has a big lead, but will be disqualified for missing the water jump. First-time buy-it. Cassie Anderson then in second place. The BYU runner could inherit the championship, and Gaffigan is in second, and Carrie Messner is third. But remember, Shook missed this water jump, the first-time buy-it, and will be disqualified, though they let her continue to run, and she does have a huge lead.
Well, I'm sure she will appeal that. It might be a case sometimes when you go off to the inside of the track and come back on, if it can prove there was no advantage taken and it wasn't intentional, sometimes it can be overruled. An unfortunate circumstance. But as we...
And about 2 laps to go, less than 2 laps to go now, with Shook continuing with the big lead. And earlier this evening, there were some athletes here in Special Olympics races. The athletes were selected to compete at these Olympic trials at the Special Olympic Northern California Summer Games held in Stockton, California 2 weeks ago.
And these athletes are looking towards their Olympic Games for the Special Olympics. And the next one will be 2007 in Shanghai. As you see, Casa Young of Fresno County take the women's race out and win it from start to finish.
Well, they're great competitors.
And the Kasha Young wins the Special Olympics 100-meter dash for women, and the men's race also earlier tonight.
And I talked to Jill Ozier earlier today, the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Development for Northern California, and she said these athletes competed in a special pre-qualifying race at the Summer Games in Stockton, and usually they're selected on their disability, but this event they decided to go after the fastest ones.
And look how competitive they are as they move down the track. There's Damon Robinson of Fresno winning it. Congratulations to him as the crowd shows their appreciation for these Special Olympians here in Sacramento.
And back now live, the last lap of the women's 3000-meter steeplechase. Brianna Shook has led from start to finish. She has a huge advantage, but we think will be disqualified for missing the water jump the first time around. And Gaffigan now has taken over second, and Cassie Anderson is third. And they're really strung out, and Shook obviously is the elite of this field, Marty.
Yeah, no question about it. She's not too far off of an American record pace. It's an unfortunate situation, but this is a great event for women, because if you see some of these women, they're not the thin 100-pound distance runners that you normally see. To run the steeplechase, you've got to be a little bit bigger, and this is an event, I think, that, perfect for somebody who played soccer and sprinted a lot. That's what you basically have to do, jump and then sprint.
That was Cassie Anderson in third that stumbled at the water jump. Here's Shook. She's going to cross the finish line all by herself, but we think will be disqualified. That means that Ann Gaffigan in the red, coming to the line now, will be the official champion. Well, Cassie Anderson there, who stumbled in the final water jump, though, will get third behind Shook.
Well, this is a real shame, because Shook assuredly, when she broke the American record, how many yards did she gain by? I mean, you can't give her the record if she missed the water jump.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Karen Messner was across the line fourth, but will move up to third. And you think the realization has hit Brianna Shook?
I don't know, but one thing is for certain, just about the top 6 women all ran their fastest time, so it was a great race.
And Gaffigan, the All-American from the University of Nebraska, will be the official winner. Shook crossed the line first, 9:31.98, but Gaffigan will move up with Anderson and Messner. This is not an Olympic event, but Gaffigan will be the official national champion with the disqualification, we believe, of Brianna Shook.
Come on up right here. I got you. I got you.
Well, the men's steeplechase is an Olympic event, and we'll choose the team for Athens at the Olympic trials when we come back. There's the winner. Back in Sacramento, Brianna Shook in tears. She has been disqualified. She obviously was much the best of this group of 3,000-meter steeplechasers, an event that might be added to the 2008 Olympics and will be part of next year's World Championship. She was by far the best, but missed the water jump the first time and was disqualified, which makes the champion Ann Gaffigan of Nebraska, who will get credit also for the American record time in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase. Now coming up, the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase, and this is an Olympic event, and it includes a young man, Anthony